Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Rorschach's Journal.
Bunch of slap-jawed faggots around here.
Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome back to another Live. Just hanging out and that and seeing what's going on. As usual, I don't even bother promoting these things anymore because I don't even see the point. YouTube just likes to play all these damn games. I don't wind up showing up in those people's feeds. So what's the point? I'm just going to wind up putting the show up and just I always promote the Thursday toy stream because usually that's with Vinny, and he tends to get slightly more attention as far as the algorithm is concerned than I do. So I just that's where it is. There's a lot of people out there that want to see you fail. There are a lot of people that want to see a lot of us fail. They literally cannot stand what we do, what we represent. And it really doesn't even matter if we're really going over the borderline of what they deem acceptable or not. They just can't stand you for one reason or another, and they try to do everything in their power to make sure that you fail. I just don't give a shit what they have to say. It's mind over matter. I don't mind because, well, they don't matter. They're not doing anything for me. They're not paying my bills. So I really don't give a shit what they have to think about it. But that's kind of where it stands with a lot of that stuff. Just don't even worry about it. We're heading into that so wonderful Thanksgiving, right? We're at the time of the year where everybody gets to gorge themselves silly and stupidly and wind up sleeping off because tryptophan. This is amazing stuff. Pigsgiving over here did the same thing. We feed the pigs until hopefully they gorge themselves, and maybe not hear them squeaking for a half hour, maybe 40 minutes if we're lucky. The pigs are very boisterous, and when they want extra food, they're going to absolutely keep going at it, and they're not going to stop until they get a little bit more. And Cringer up there in the corner, big Pigsgiving fan. He loved it. Everything would be cleaned up and around fishing, and the poor chaperone, which they wanted to collect it. But we still have a house full of hungry pigs. Rorschach and Helmet. Rorschach being the head pig now in charge, and following that up, we got Stripe Farms, and of course Indy, a very big boy, approaching the 4-pound mark. Like this pig is 3.7 some odd pounds. He is so close to hitting 4 pounds. Like, holy crap, is this big pig? And goddamn, he's bigger than his dad by a pretty wide margin. And the funny thing is every time Barnes goes to get a treat, Indy literally jumps on this pig's back and almost breaks it every single time. But that's where we are with that. Going to be doing the toy stream, like I said, on Thursday. Thursday, we are going to be delving into a lot more of the old school stuff. It's something that I have recently started bringing back to like the past, talking about some of these older toy franchises, because I think it's just a lot of fun to delve back into the history of a lot of those toy franchises. Take that trip down memory lane. I mean, a lot of people remember some of these franchises very fondly. Some of them may be a little bit too much because a lot of them did not have very much longevity at all. A lot of them were like a flash in the pan. They were there 1 minute and then gone the next. It's crazy. What's going on, Curtis? Good to see you, buddy. Hope that you're doing well. I hope that you're going to have a good Thanksgiving too as well. But I mean, geez, it's so much fun to dig back into the old stuff. And don't get me wrong, I love showing off a lot of these newer figures, especially the ones that are based on older lines and everything like that. But there's nothing better than taking those to the original ones. So I was recently looking over some of this new theories that people had on some of the Transformers. And it kind of cracks me up that some of these people are actually talking about the original mini cars, the first line that came out that was from the Microchange line that Takara was doing, because they had Diaclone, which came out first, and then they came out with Microchange as part of their Microman line. So people have this new theory that Huffer, Gears, and Brawn were all part of this other toy line from Knickerbocker called Mysterions. Later on, Mysterions wound up getting life and actually got produced as toys under Macone, but originally they were supposed to be produced by Knickerbocker. And everybody's saying now, oh, well, the M that's on those toys doesn't represent microchange. It actually represents Mysterions. And they come up with all kinds of reasons why they're saying this. Here's why I'm saying that is absolutely garbage, because they were going into production for these Mysterion figures in 82. So the first wave where it was like a sphere, a triangle, a square, like, I think one was even it was like a slot machine or something like that. So these figures were really goofy looking. So that was their first wave, and then their second wave, which was going to come after that, was going to wind up being what they said was the I forget if they said the off-roaders or whatever they called it, but it consisted of what should have been Huffer, Gears, Brawn, and they had some kind of weird promo art for something that almost looked like Windcharger. And they, like I said, these were going into production in 1982, and they weren't going to get released until 1983. Well, by 1983, Takara already had microchange, and they had all those figures already. So they had started working these in 82, right around the same time supposedly Knickerbocker did. My theory is this. What happened is somebody took the promo work or promo art of what Takara was doing. They took it over to Knickerbocker. Knickerbocker decided, okay, we're going to copy what they're doing, and we're going to make toys that look just like them. So they went ahead and they approached Marvel Comics to do a comic about some of these Mysterion figures. And they were only going to do their first wave, the ones who were like squares and triangles and stuff like that. They approached Jim Shooter, and they were going to work on a comic. And no sooner, within like 2 weeks of them approaching Marvel Comics to make this comic for the Mysterion figures, it was pulled. And then all of a sudden, around that same time in 83, Hasbro approached them almost within a month or two. And they said, we need to work on something called Transformers that we're working with Takara as far as the toy line is concerned. So you're telling me that two companies were producing the exact same toy at the exact same time, but it was Knickerbocker that created it? Bullshit. I think that the reason that the comic got pulled so swiftly is because Takara found out that Knickerbocker was using their promo art to try to create toys, and they went after them. That's why the comic was immediately pulled. All the ideas were pulled for it, and that's why it just disappeared. So I'm still convinced that the M on those original mini cars was for microchange, and it was not Mysterion like this new theory is out there saying. People, they really need to look at the dates of when these toys went into production, and not just look at like, well, this M doesn't look like that, and I think it's this. Yeah, there's a reason why Knickerbocker disappeared and Mysterions never hit shelf. Is because they were obviously taking the promo artwork from Takara and trying to create their own line. Just a little bit of knowledge right there from the Collective. I unloaded my mag since our combo. I'm afraid of wearing the springs out. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, that's why I was telling you I have a few mags, and I'll unload one and put them in another one to kind of spare the springs. But I always keep one loaded just in case I got to grab it. Yeah, buy some spare springs. If you can, just get a couple extra clips. It wouldn't hurt either. What's going on, Janet? Good to see you. What's up, Papa? Good to see you as well. Iceman Modeler also in the house. What's going on, y'all? Hope that you have a good one. And for the upcoming holiday, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope that you're all going to have a good one. Like I said, I was saying earlier, we are going to be doing the toy stream. Going to be delving into a lot more old school stuff on Thursday. I might even bring up this topic of microchange and the Mysterion thing again. Maybe I'll do like a full video on it and show some of the promo stuff that Knickerbocker was trying to put out. And subsequently, too, as far as the Knickerbocker and Takara Hasbro mess, what wound up happening, and it wasn't Hasbro that was part of this, but Takara actually wound up acquiring Knickerbocker as a whole. So if this toy company was creating stuff on their own, supposedly at the same time Takara was, why did they wind up getting owned by Takara? It's just telling me that they stole their shit. They were trying to produce it. They got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. And that's pretty much the end of the story. So, like, these crazy ideas that this Knickerbocker with Mysterion's created at first is absolute horseshit. Springs are only $5 from the dealer. Yeah, you know what? The springs from like Keltec 32, like I was saying, they're under $2 for a whole spring set. I don't know what the clip springs sets are, but I know the ones for gun itself for the return spring are under $2. Pretty crazy. But then again, that is right here in Florida too, because Keltec is made in Florida. So I think it's like Ocala, Florida, is where it's made. But I wanted to show you guys something. So I was digging through some of the stuff that my dad had, and I came across something from the Franklin collection. So got this little knife thing from Franklin Mint. Obviously, see Dracula in the back with this little coffin. So I probably guess where this is going. Here's the back end. It's actually got a limited edition stamping number and that little gold emblem. But then here's the front of that thing. Like, look at that thing. Like, holy crap. Do you guys remember all these Franklin Mint knives and everything they were making back then? Pocket watches, because they were doing like the Frank Frazetta art and everything. Like, really wonderful stuff they were doing back in the day. These things were awesome. And it opens up, and it's got a nice little portrait of Dracula, and then it's got the relief over there with the bats on the inside of the coffin. Really cool piece. If this thing was worth any money, I'd probably sell it. But unfortunately, this thing is not really worth much. Like a lot of these things, like they've devalued over the years. But an interesting piece, nonetheless. I have in the collection. Really goes with a lot of the horror stuff. Let's see what you guys are saying. No, nothing yet. Nobody with anything from Franklin Mint. I remember a lot of the flea markets back in the day. You would see a lot of the stuff that they had bought for Franklin Mint on the cheap one. Maybe they might have fallen off the back of a truck, and they were selling them for probably half the price that you would have to buy them from Franklin Mint for. So I know this one is something that my dad definitely picked up in a flea market. But I mean, it is official Franklin Mint. It's got all the proper stampings on it. Finally saying goodbye to Dark Helmet now. That is finished. Moving on to the next project. Yeah, man, I so want to get one from you, but I'm still working through some finance stuff where it's like, you know, I'll have to talk to you at some point. I definitely have to. I definitely need a Dark Helmet figure for Dark Helmet. I mean, every single pig has their own figure. I've got a Rorschach. I had Cliff Jumper in droves. I got to get a Barnes though, and there's only one company I see that's doing a really good Barnes looking figure, but it's I want to say it's somewhere around like 150 or something like that for that figure. That's something I got to kind of plan out. It's not the kind of money I'd normally would throw around on a figure. I just usually don't have those kind of finances anymore. But yeah, I got one for Indy. So all the pigs have had their figures. The last one I got to get is an actual true Cringer figure. And it is available right now. I'm just waiting for prices to come down on it because the shelves are loaded like Targets and stuff with an Adam and Cringer based on the cartoon version. So I definitely want to get that. You know, even though he's gone, I still like to get a figure for him. But hey, how are all you guys doing, man? Is everything going good? I know here things were a little sketchy for me. You know, as always, just like the back issues and everything like that. I wound up getting a small bout of gout, but I got the gout right after I was playing with the dog, and we were play fighting, and he got real serious, and he jumped up and he bit me in the goddamn lip, and freaking split my lip open. I had to get like 3 stitches on the top of my lip. What a fucking mess. The minute that heals up, then I got gout. So that was out of action for a few more days because of that. Luckily, right now it's just the normal. My back is sore, but everything else is good. I'm just hoping that that's the end of it for the rest of the year. I think I've had more than my fair share of injuries and setbacks through this year to last a few of them. What's up, Doc? Oh, yeah. It's funny too. I wasn't the only person. One of the other people I stream with all the time said gout as well. I was like, "Are you kidding?" Like, how is that even possible? We were talking too much and it went through the phone lines. You got it too. Oh, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Doc, did you see the knife from the Franklin Mint that I was showing off? I know Trina would appreciate that, the Dracula one. I think it's so freaking awesome. No, you missed it? Oh, yeah. That's the front of the knife. Then that's with the coffin lid open. And then that's with the blade out. I forget what circa the year this was that this came out. Probably early 2000s or maybe even late 90s. But yeah, it came in the little faux leather bag that all those freaking Franklin knives came in. God, I have a lot of that weird shit. I used to have one of the pocket watches. It was the Mistress of Flame. I'd sold that a number of years ago, and I think I wound up getting roughly just like a few bucks over what I paid for it. Like I think I paid 50 for it at the time, and I think I wound up getting 75 for it. I didn't get a whole lot. It was in perfect shape and everything like that, but the market for those things is just horrible. Yeah, yeah. So it's after 1994. Yeah. Well, I know some of those things still said China, which is stupid. I mean, you would think something coming from the Franklin Mint would always be made in USA every single time. Some of that shit's in China on even the early runs, which is retarded. I mean, if you're paying for quality and it's supposed to be Franklin Mint that's supposed to represent quality, it should always wind up being made in America. It should. What's going on, Decepticon? Yeah, I know there was a few more of those things that we had, and I don't remember which ones we had, but they're all buried in all those totes. I still haven't finished going through all those damn totes that are in the back. There's so much shit back there. Like my mother had all these Gone with Wind plates that had like 24 karat or 24, 24 karat gold, I think, around the rim of the plate. So I had the big picture scene plates, and I forget which company they were from. It wasn't Franklin Mint. It was one of those other fancy companies. And then she had a model of Terra. So it was basically like, the outside of Terra, like the house and a little bit of the outside area of the house and everything, but it was light up. And she used to collect all that shit. She used to love golf. I know she had one of those big statuettes of Rhett Butler and Scarlett inside of a big, tall glass bubble. And it was musical at the bottom, so you'd wind that thing up, and then it would spin and play music and everything. And it was supposed to represent when they were dancing at the one ball. Setting up your Black Friday whatnot sale. Good comics, new Transformers, Blood Hunt, and old classics too. Cool. Yeah. If you have your link for that, if you have a link for that, drop it in the chat, man. Let people know. Only a few more weeks till it's turbo time. You gotta rewatch that movie, please, man. I was watching a weird movie last night. So it had Stallone in it, and then I think it was Arnold or something. God, it was called Escape Plan. Never seen this one before. So apparently Stallone worked as an escape artist to escape from all these prisons. Basically, he's testing the prisons to see if they're escape proof. And like it starts off with him in prison, then he gets out, and then they reveal that that's what he does for his job. He tests these prisons to see if they're escape proof or not. And then in the end, they said they had a new job for him, and they wind up putting him on basically a prison ship that's almost inescapable. So I didn't have a chance to finish watching because it was getting too early in the morning. I was like, man, I got to get to bed. I can't finish watching this now. But it was pretty interesting. It was definitely different from the normal prison movie that you can see. All on Tubi. I find some of the oddest movies on Tubi. Like, I got in that stupid Netflix just for that stupid price. Like, what a waste of money that was. But I did get to see Cobra Kai, which was pretty good. And something else I watched on there was okay, but like a lot of the rest of that stuff on Netflix is just absolute trash. And if it wasn't for watching Cobra Kai, I would have already freaking just like, cancel that shit. But unfortunately, Cobra Kai isn't coming back until February. And I want to see the last 5 episodes of that before I cancel that shit. What's up, my sketchbook? Good to see you, man. World domination's going as usual, slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the biggie race. At least that's what I'm told. Oh, you did see that one, Curtis? Yeah. Interesting movie. Interesting. I like how they have everything set up. Septicon sharing his link for his whatnot. Black Friday. Guys, be sure to check it out. No promotion right there for him. Check him out, man. You'd be helping somebody. You'd be helping a friend out at the channel. A tiresome fight. It was, and you could see Tyson like pulling punches. And like early in the fight, he threw some heavy hits that looked like it rocked Paul, and then he just started pulling back. And you start watching some of the footage, the clips, everything that people bring out later on, and you can absolutely see him pulling his punch at the last minute. Like, dude, what the hell? Like, I don't care if your knees are hurting that bad or not, man. That it's not really going to affect your ability to throw a punch. Sure, you won't be able to throw the same power in that punch because you got to be able to use almost your whole body to throw a good power punch like Tyson would. That's why you always see him kind of leaping into his punches. But just to throw punches, man, that has nothing to do with your knees, man. And the way that guy was training before that, man, the whole thing just looked fishy. It was just like a promo stuff, man. I mean, they were saying that there's a paper trail out there saying that, he got paid for every round he kept going. So if he went all the rounds, he was going to get paid a lot more money than if he, wound up knocking Paul out. The fight ended early, and supposedly they say in the contract there was a stipulation they can't knock Paul out. So I mean, who knows? Nobody's going to know the 100% truth unless somebody gets a hold of that contract and they can definitively prove it. Other than that, it's all speculation. But yeah, that did not look like the same Tyson that was training. I mean, there were small glimpses of him in the first 2 rounds, and then after that, it was like, yeah. It just looked like a tired guy who didn't want to be there. That's what it looked like to me. And even that guy, Paul, he was pulling his punches like he didn't want to freaking piss him off or something. Like, I don't know. The whole thing was just, like, if that's their big thing to try to entice people back to watch Netflix again, dude, that's your first offering? Yeah, you can kill that noise. I mean, the women's card before that was much better than that Tyson fight. Much better. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just all just garbage. I have no patience for that kind of shit either. Regardless of how much I'm paying, if I'm paying and that's what I'm supposed to be getting, it's supposed to be hyped up to be something special. It better be something special, or I'm just I'll take my business elsewhere. And that goes for any company out there. You guys always got to remember that too, man. All these companies, you don't need them. They need you. They need you. And if you're not giving them your money, you could be giving it to somebody else. So they've got to actually earn your money. And if they're not earning your money and earning your time to invest there, then what is the point? What is the absolute point? You just can't let these companies just get away whatever they want to and think that they own you. And a lot of them do act like that. I had the same problem with one of the streaming services. They kind of act like they were doing me a big favor. Oh, dude, what you're offering me for this money, it's not worth it. I'm sorry. And then they tried making all kinds of excuses. Oh, well, we'll do this and we'll do that. It's that time is already passed. Should have did that from the beginning. It's too late. Nope, I'm done with you. And I mean, StreamYards, unfortunately, is right now still the better choice. I mean, I wish there was somebody offering something better. I mean, StreamYards has made some improvements to this, but I think for the increase in price, which is about $20 more a month, it still doesn't seem worth it for what little they gave. I mean, they could have did a few things, just added a few things, especially for people that have been long-time patrons of their service. They could have did more, but they chose not to. And they start putting all those stipulations. Oh, you get in trouble on YouTube. We can yank your StreamYard account, like all that kind of stuff. Shit, like what kind of horseshit is that? You guys are supposed to be supplying a service for people to stream wherever they want to. Yet you make it extremely difficult for anybody to stream anywhere but YouTube. Like, just absolute horseshit. That flight was BS. The cops ended up getting called on us from all the hell raising. I bet, Daytona. How you doing, buddy? Happy Pigsgiving. Thanksgiving to you. Bad Take Bojan also in the house. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Like I said, still doing the toy stream Thursday. I know a lot of people aren't going to be able to make it, but it is what it is. Yo, what's up, Slasher? My buddy. Slasher will be there Thursday. Want to have a little fun talking about some old school stuff. I know I just got a package from Slasher too, so we'll be talking about that on Thursday a little bit. Like I said, most of what's going to be Thursday is old school toys. So you guys who want to see more of the old school stuff, you'll definitely want to be there for Thursday. Going to be leaning in heavily into the old school toy talks. Yeah, that wasn't Mike Tyson. It was Aunt Esther. Oh, jeez. He just looked so slow and tired. Like, he looked like, goddamn, he looked like Bruce Campbell and Bubba Hotep. If he had a walker out there, I think he might have been able to move faster. That was just horrible. But, I mean, as bad as that was, at least the Cobra Kai stuff wasn't a disappointment. I will say that. So, I mean, so far, this last season of Cobra Kai is living up to expectations. It's been pretty damn interesting. So, I got no complaints there. Yeah, I even went back and I watched more of that 90s show. And even that seems like improved a little bit from the last season that they had up. So, whether it's really worth people to watch, I mean, I suppose if you were a big 70s fan, you know, if you like that 70s show, maybe watch this. I mean, they do have some of the older cast always popping in, but I wouldn't say it's paramount to watch it just because you like the old one. I mean, maybe it's interesting, or you know, I mean, it's got moments, but it's got a lot of parallels to the old show too. It seems like they're lifting a lot of storylines from the original show and just reusing it and just tagging it in 90s and updating some of the peripherals, if you will, for the show to make it feel like more like a newer show. But a lot of it's not. I got to catch up on Cobra Kai. I missed the past few seasons. Yeah, man. You know what? The last few seasons were really good, especially the last one. And this one, like I said, a lot of really cool shit. There's some people in there, as always, that are going to just irritate the living balls off you. But for the most part, it's been good. I think they eliminated a lot of the cast that was, I think, slowing the show down. And yeah, like especially the last 3 or 4 episodes that they had, like just absolute bangers. They were really good. A lot of action, a lot of fight scenes and everything like that, especially with the tournament that they're having in it. And then they leave you on one hell of a cliffhanger for the last 5 episodes that are coming out in February. So, I mean, if those last 5 episodes equal what they've done throughout especially the second half of this season, holy shit, man! It's going to end on a really good high note. The only downside I would say to this is that they're supposed to be leaning into a movie, and unfortunately, in that movie, they're going to be bringing in the Jackie Chan character from the Kung Fu Kid. Yeah, I know they said Karate Kid, but it's Kung Fu Kid. It's just horseshit. I don't even know why they're including that. It's just such a waste. I mean, are they trying to make it fail? I mean, I suppose that maybe there's a way that they can make it work. I just don't see it because people that like Karate Kid, that's why they tuned into Cobra Kai because it paid a lot of respect to the original movies. That's what you want to do. You want to retain that audience. I mean, I realize that, oh, well, it might be cool to add this character from the other movies, but, considering that those movies didn't do all that great, do you really think that's a good idea? I don't know what they're thinking. It is pretty good. What's up, manliness? They want to sell it in China. That's why Jackie Chan, you might be right. Oh, please, no Jaden Smith, please, please. I don't know if they said Jaden Smith or not. I know they did say Jackie Chan, which that alone just made me just eye roll like, no. Elizabeth Shue, what a sweetie. I'm telling you, good show. That was a good show. I haven't watched the other one, and I know Vinny always talks about that. So, shit, what the hell's the name of that show now? It's the anime one. He keeps talking about that one. I can't think of the damn name of it. Arcane. So he keeps talking about Arcane, and I remember I watched the first season. I thought it was okay, but I just really wasn't invested in it. I never played the game, and while the first one was, it was passable, it's just not something I was really that interested in. So I seen the second season for Arcane, and I just passed right by. I'm just not interested. I spent most of my day going on freaking Tubi, watching stuff on JFK and the assassination. They got so many different ones on them. It's interesting stuff. I like that stuff. Should have show Kasuji. Yeah, the latest one I was watching on JFK, it actually included 3 other presidents. So it was McKinley, I think it was Taft, and then Lincoln, and they were talking about their assassinations and what they all, kind of have in common. And one of the things they said they had in common is they wanted to get away from the federal bank, that federal bank that is owned by other countries and everything, and they wanted to move back to a gold standard. And that's basically what the show is insinuating. That's the reason that they were knocked off, not really for anything else, but because they were going against these other countries and their stranglehold over the American economy. Interesting. There was a lot of really interesting parallels, especially between Abraham Lincoln and Kennedy. There's a lot of interesting stuff there. I mean, if you have a chance to go on Tubi and watch that one, yeah, you'll see it right away. It's got those 4 presidents sitting on the freaking title card for it, and interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. I'd love to talk about it in depth on here, but I'm sure YouTube would come after me for propaganda or something else, because that's just the way it works. They're absolutely ridiculous with that shit. Died the same day as C.S. Lewis and Dr. Who. Interesting. I like going down those rabbit holes and some of those shows. I just find that stuff so interesting. It's enthralling to me. Just like look into that stuff and just see what other opinions are on those things out there, what other kind of theories are out there, because there are tons of them. Well, they got plenty of ones where the one guy said he was firing a fireball handgun, and he was the one that took the final shot on Kennedy. There's a few of them. One's called the Grassy Knoll. One's called I Shot JFK. One's called True Confessions of the JFK Killer. There's tons of them. Interesting. All of it's pretty interesting. I enjoy that stuff. I mean, just as much as I like watching something that's entertaining and everything, whether it's an action movie, a comedy, or whatever. I like watching those documentaries. There's nothing better than learning a different perspective of an event that maybe we've never heard before, and you definitely see those things on Tubi. So my hat's off to them for that stuff. TWTG content. What's going on, Chris, man? How you doing, buddy? Happy Pigsgiving and Thanksgiving to you, too. Not really assassination, but I watch stuff on strange disappearances. Lore Lodge is a pretty good channel. There was quite a few of those strange disappearance stuff that they have, too. I know there was a couple of them on, like, alien stuff, where they were talking about an alien baby somewhere out near Russia, and basically the story is this old lady died and there was a baby, and somebody else took the baby, but it was an alien. And then they said eventually the KGB came looking for her, and they don't know if the KGB took this supposed alien baby or if the alien baby was beamed up by the mothership. But yeah, there was something on that too. I mean, that's technically like a disappearance because they never did say what happened. They could never prove what happened either. So thanks, buddy. Tubi is awesome for 80s sword and sorcery. Yeah, well, they're good for a lot of that stuff. Like even like stuff earlier than that, like they got Gilligan's Island, if you're in that sort of thing. There was a short window where they actually had Barney Miller on there, but they only had like they were only doing like one season at a time. Like they had like season 5, then season 6, then season 7, and then they just stopped playing them all together. But they even got some of the old serials, the old TV serials that used to play in movie houses, like the old Batman. Oh God, what else did they have? Green Arrow, I think, and a few other ones. Like was it Superman too? I forget. They had a few different ones, like some of the old school stuff. Those are always interesting to look at. The alien baby, how did Hollywood molest it? That is a discussion for another time, probably on Vinny's channel on Rumble. Watch Cole the Conqueror the other day. Not bad. Yeah, there goes another old school one. I see that all the time. Death Stalker was on there. I know they used to have 1 and 2. Death Race 2000 is on there. David Carradine, Sylvester Stallone. They got a lot of cool old school stuff on there. Right now, they got Death Wish. What is it? 1, 2, 3, and 4. They don't, because I'm pretty sure there was 5 of those. But yeah, Slasher's going to be doing a talk about Death Wish 3 on his channel on Saturday. So that is actually my favorite Death Wish. I like that one. I like the characters in it. I just think it's like it's so close to being completely over the top, but I think it just misses completely going over the top. I really did enjoy that one. I used to watch the early 50s TV show back in the 80s on some channel. Yeah, and some of these channels, Manliness, like on Tubi and Max and everything like that, they have some of the original Superman cartoons, even like lost episodes that they never aired. Superman 3 is the best Superman movie ever. Isn't that the one with Richard Pryor? I have Deathstalker 1 and 2 on DVD. Yeah, right? Daytona? Yeah, it is. Yeah, okay. They even have the Bruce Willis Death Wish. Yeah, I watched it. I can't say I hated it, but I definitely didn't enjoy it as much as Bronson's. I don't know what it was. I just like Bronson's version better. There's another Bronson one that I really did enjoy, and it's called Death Hunt. So, if I remember correctly, I want to say he's either somewhere up in Canada or something like that, and he winds up with like a wolf, like a white wolf or something like that, and these other trappers are coming to like kill him, and he's basically fighting them all off out of this log cabin. Really good movie though. I thought it was good. I like that one. Jack Benny, Life of Riley Dagwood. I was watching. They had Beetle Bailey on Tubi. So the old Beetle Bailey comic strip, they had like a semi-animated version of that on Tubi. I was watching that a little bit. 3 is Pryor, 4 is the Down syndrome Superman copy. Yeah, like the nuclear energy guy or whatever the hell he is. God, that one was horrible. Yeah, Bruce. Woo, yeah. He can't even talk or anything now. He's like a fucking vegetable. What a shame. The Mounties are after him. Yeah, but I thought it started with other trappers. Like he had an issue with other trappers first, and he killed a few of them. The Bruce Willis one shouldn't have been called Death Wish. Agreed. They could have named it something else. I mean, they could have even insinuated it was in that same world and everything, but I mean, I think there was a way they could have did it and, make it like Death Wish without just reusing the idea of just Death Wish. I mean, they changed so much of it anyway. They might as well have called it something else. It has been 30 years since I saw the Bronson movie. Yeah. They have a few on Tubi, just not as many as I would like to see. But I really need to get like a DVD version of Death Hunt and Death Wish 3. I'm sure I can get like a whole collection of the Death Wish movies on DVD. I'm sure they have them. Probably even have them on Blu-ray. But it's always a gamble whether or not the Blu-ray is going to play in my shitty ass Xbox One, because unfortunately that's the only player I have right now, because the other one's all burned out. And then I tossed them, took them outside, started shooting them with freaking BB guns. Once they stop working, that's it, man. You got to take those things out. You got to get your money's worth out of them. What is cool about the original Death Wish is the fact that he was KO in Korea. Maybe served as a medic. Oh, yeah, conscientious objector. Yeah, because he talks about that in part 3, that he was conscientious objector. Because when he's talking to that guy, Charlie, that he goes to the apartment to go visit in Death Wish 3, he's telling the other guy, Jesus, what the hell's his name? Can't think of the other guy's name, but he was telling him he was conscientious objector, and him and Charlie got along really well and became even better friends. Probably confided in Charlie that he was Mr. Vigilante. And the fact that him and the cop get together at the end and they're just shooting down all the gang members, I thought was absolutely hilarious. Of course, nothing beats the end scene where he pulls out that freaking Law's rocket and just blows him right out the window. I've been watching Mike Flanagan horror stuff. I like his work. He has a handful on Netflix. He directed Dr. Sleep. Yeah, Dr. Sleep was pretty good too. I like what they did in that one. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't perfect, but I think it was probably about as perfect as it can be. It was pretty damn good. I enjoyed that one. I definitely enjoyed that one. I like how they made some of the older characters look like the original characters from the first movie as best they could too. Granted, they probably could have found somebody better to play Jack Nicholson, but yeah, was what it was. Wasn't horrible. I think they did more than enough to make it feel like a true sequel to the first one, so you can't beat that. I'm trying to figure out what's going to be next on the watch list. There just isn't a whole lot left right now. Like Penguin is freaking ended for now. Cobra Kai doesn't come back to February. I started watching the one on Vince McMahon on Netflix, and it was an absolute snooze fest, and I turned it off. What's up, CJH? I've been watching 90s movies. I find them better than newer movies. With TV shows, I'm fine with some newer ones, but it's the newer movies I feel bored with. Yeah, I've been there for a long time. I mean, that started in the mid-2000s. I started getting bored with a lot of newer movies. Like, everything's one remake or one reboot after another. I'm just sick to death of it. I've been watching a guy on YouTube who feeds the one chip to crackheads for $40. And there's a lot of those people that are doing things with crackheads or on YouTube now, Papa. Some of them sling comics. Yeah, they did a good job recreating it, I thought. Dexter Original Sin is out on the 13th. That's one I never watched. Never watched Dexter. Lovely Sherry, hello there. Happy Pigsgiving and Thanksgiving to you too. Most newer movies suck, period. And a lot of them do. They're just horrible. They're horrible. They're just so uninteresting. Yet so many people simp for this garbage. Like, I started getting into it with a couple people on Twitter. So there's a few people that understand, a few of the people that have bigger channels that understand Transformers, and they understand where I'm coming from. But some of these people are sitting there spewing that same garbage about how Bumblebee respected the lore of the original Transformers. And my God, do these people know jack shit about Transformers? Because they knew anything about Transformers, they know that the original script from Bumblebee actually came from a German comic publisher called Condor Verlag. So Condor Verlag would kind of license Marvel products to sell as comics, but they changed everything about it. Everything was changed. The original stories and everything. The only thing that was on there was Transformers and the characters and everything that are in the Marvel comics. The stories completely flopped. So if they had Mask, you might see a Mask story in a G.I. Joe book or a G.I. Joe story in a Transformers book. Like, they just mixed everything up. So like the whole story of Bumblebee coming to Earth first that they showed in that Bumblebee movie, that came from Condor Verlag, and they're what was deemed by Hasbro and Marvel as non-canon. It was non-canon. and people cheered for that trash. I'm sorry. And they're sitting there talking about it respected lore. It did not respect lore. It was from non-canon trash. I'm sorry. Oh man. Wild River remake, it sucked. There are rare times when the new movies are good. I will say Planet of the Apes somehow gets it right, but I get worried for later sequels because we all know where it's leading to. Yeah. There were some of those Planet of the Apes ones that were okay, but it always feels like they're missing something when they reboot these things. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but they always seem like they move too fast. So I wish we could have gotten a whole movie of the first few minutes. Yes, that is probably the first 4 or 5 minutes. That felt pretty cool. It felt like they were leaning into the Activision High Moon Studios War for Cybertron games with that. If they would have went that direction and just gave us that movie would have been 10 times better. It would have. I mean, really. I couldn't stand that emo girl in that freaking movie either. Oh, if the Transformers don't transform like the 80s, it's trash. I agree with that. I don't, and that was the whole thing when Bay got a hold of it. He wanted to make them look more like aliens and organic. They're not supposed to be organic. They're mechanical. They're robots. They're not supposed to be like somebody who just didn't understand the franchise. How he wound up being put in charge of it is just beyond me. And not because I don't want that. Believe me, I'd like to see the astronauts, but regardless of how good it is, people won't accept it. Yeah. The original, The River Wild, still goes so hard. I just found out Paul Verhoeven directed Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon. That movie was fun too. I can't remember if I seen that one. I might have. Silent Rage is on Tubi. Nice. Ooba Loopa, where are the guinea pigs? Well, right now we just got Cringer's icon up here. Yeah, my camera doesn't work anymore. That died a long time ago, but I will be putting some more guinea pig shorts up soon. No Transformer comics or comics. Yeah, you know what? Those original ones from Marvel too. When people talk about like franchise lore and they sit there and say like, "Oh, the Sunbow cartoons or the definitive lore," and well, no, they're not, because everything started with Marvel Comics, like all the bios and everything like that. That's Jim Shooter, that's Bob Budiansky at Marvel. They're the ones that created all that stuff, and then they forget that Sunbow was actually working with Marvel with stuff that they were already working at, and they were working on for the comics. So people always forget that. Because even though it's clear it's a reboot from the start, the longer they wait, the more likely people accuse it of just remaking it when it's clear and I take on it. And they could do different takes on it, but just don't. The problem is a lot of these people just act like this is the whole new take. This is the new version of it. And I hate when they do that. I mean, there's a way to do it and say it's kind of separated from the original one. This is something completely different. J.J. Abrams is a prime example of that with Star Trek. So instead of coming right out and saying, "Oh, this is a different timeline than what you're used to from the old shows," he waited until people started bitching at him about it. Then he comes up with this whole, "Oh, this is the Kelvin timeline." Dude, if you would have just said that right from the jump, this is a whole different reality of Star Trek and a different timeline, maybe people would have been less critical about it. But because you didn't, you waited until you started getting all kinds of negative feedback to come out with that shit. That's why nobody wanted to hear it. Noah Hawley can be very hit and miss. The new Aladdin movie was absolute junk, but the Legion series on FX was amazing. I feel like sequels shouldn't wait a decade because people have short attention spans. This is true. This is absolutely true. I thought we'd be seeing guinea pigs eaten. Yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, like I said, unfortunately, my camera doesn't work. I used to be able to have my camera on and actually show the guinea pigs while I was on live. But yeah, the way my internet service is, it's so horrible, I can't have the camera on anymore. It's absolute trash. And CenturyLink just will not do anything to fix this internet. They keep making promises that they refuse to freaking to fulfill. It's just ridiculous. I'm just glad a fistful of dollars is free on YouTube again. Nice. My favorite was always the Outlaw Josie Wales. Love that movie. I just wanted a Mega Supreme in the movies. Yeah. Problem is the original toy was made by Toy Box of Korea, and they didn't have licensing to keep redoing it at the time. So him appearing in the movies, it was just easier, I guess. Like I did a discussion about that. It's pretty much assumed that he dies off before the movie. That's why you just don't see a Mega Supreme anymore. The comic went nowhere, and without the cartoon toys and IP, never would have gone anywhere. I would say to a degree, you're right, but also you're wrong. So the comic did actually do more than well enough in its initial release because it was supposed to end after what was it, comic number 4. And then comic number 5, we wind up getting that awesome shot with Shockwave and the Transformers are all dead. That's because the sales of those comics did so damn well. So it wasn't just the comic and it wasn't just the cartoon, but it was also the additional regular ads and promotion they were doing for the toy line themselves. And remember, if the comic is really good, if the cartoon is really good, and the ads are there to really promote this thing, but the toys are shit, it still would have went nowhere. So it was really all 4 of these things together. So the toys were awesome. The ads were spectacular. They put out the comic did well and the cartoon did well because all 4 of those did well. That's why that freaking franchise did so well. I mean, Hasbro called that their 3-point marketing strategy. So ads, cartoon, and comic. But once again, if the toys are not well made, they're not interesting enough to kids, it's just not going anywhere. Show the piggies, Tommy. I wish I could. I can't. Damn it. Damn you, CenturyLink. Thought on Transformers 1, the art style looks bad in my opinion. It's for kids, but still, I seen the trailer for it when I was in theaters watching the 40th anniversary where they replayed the first 4 episodes of the Transformers in theater, and I was not impressed with it. And I noticed a couple other people saying it's not as bad as you think and everything like that. I just have no interest from what I've seen in the trailer. Have you checked Starlink? Yes, I have. And believe it or not, it's not available in my area. Like, I am in this weird dead zone, manliness. Like, even stuff like HughesNet and everything like that, not available here. Comcast, not available here. We have CenturyLink, and that's literally all we have. It's absolutely nuts. I think my internet is worse than yours now, Tommy. I can't stream it all now. Wow. Yeah, I have issues, but if I keep it simple like this with just an icon and everything like that, I'm fine. The minute I start showing videos, sometimes it'll glitch up on me, and sometimes it'll glitch bad enough that I won't even see the video that I'm presenting to you all. So there's that. There are times when I remember a movie a certain way, and it's pretty common sense knowledge of a thing happening in the movie or show, and then people argue it wasn't that way. Yeah, I know. People are going to find something to argue about everything regardless. It doesn't matter. I see it all the time with Twitter. Like, these people just want to argue just for the sake of arguing. Memes will let you know what's going on. Memes. I know the original was from another line, but they have continued to make newer, lesser quality version, except that one video game one. Huh. Or they'll misinterpret a scene that makes perfect sense, but people make it more complicated than it is. Yeah. Other movies, you think about it, it falls apart no matter how beloved the movie is. Jurassic Park kind of falls apart when you really think about it. Yeah, and I was not a big fan of Jurassic Park. Just wasn't. It was good to see memes. I know memes was just doing a live stream. If I wasn't like trying to get everything set up to go live here, I would have been over there watching memes as well. And happy Thanksgiving to you, memes. When it comes to space travel, Elon needs to live stream from a rover on Mars, or else I'll call it BS. Yeah, Mega Supreme. Yeah, what did they do on it? Was that the Devastator game, or I forget. I never played Total Devastation. I heard it was a really good game, just never played it. I mean, like I said, I played both of the High Moon Studios, War for Cybertron, and Fall for Cybertron games. Loved the shit out of those. I thought they were excellent. Fraser Kane live streams in 1080 from Vancouver Island with Starlink. God dang. If only. If only. Have you tried 5G internet from cell providers? And that's another thing, my sketchbook. So we have, which has got the best tower coverage in our area. We have a AT&T, and it's shit. It's absolute shit. Like, I sometimes have a very hard time on my phone using the internet data service just to upload a short to YouTube. Like, this thing will chug for 10, 15 minutes sometimes to put like a 40-second short up. It's actually worse than the CenturyLink. And the CenturyLink I have hardwired into my computer to try to avoid, as many hiccups as possible. And even then, it's just all trash. It's horrible. Just seen clips of the game on YouTube. One of the war games, I think. Oh, yes. So in the first one, so in War for Cybertron, they did have an Omega Supreme there. He's like a boss that you fight. He's not like a playable character. And you only see like the top half of his body until he transforms into this weird like ship. So he doesn't turn into like a tank base or nothing. He turns into like this weird ship they got attacked, and you're playing this. The Decepticons fight him, and the Autobots are fighting, I think it's Tripticon. I saw a tweet from Elon where he says Earth is flattish round. That's what crack will do to you. It's definitely round. I don't like the Transformers comics too much, especially the Simon Furman run. He did the whole Gods and Mythos of Magic and Knights BS. Yeah. So the early Transformers, it's kind of weird too, because the early Transformers comics, if you look at the way they did it and everything about the Transformers, the Cybertronians, it wasn't exactly like they wind up doing it by the time they get around to the 86 movie, because in the original run of that, they don't die. They can get pretty much destroyed into pieces and eventually can get rebuilt. And I think it was issue 3 where they had Spider-Man in the black costume. Gears falls pretty much to his doom, and he's pretty much destroyed. And Ratchet goes to put them back together, and Spider-Man's like, you don't even like mourn your fallen comrade. And they're telling him, well, he's not really dead in the sense that you think of death. We can bring him back. And it wasn't until much later on that they come up with the idea of the Cybertronians having sparks of life, and if their spark gets extinguished, they truly die. So there was a lot of interesting stuff, I thought, in those early comics, especially the way Shockwave is portrayed, just like he's portrayed in his bio. In the Sunback cartoons, he's portrayed as Megatron's lackey. But in the original bio that Bob Budiansky had done for Shockwave, he's operations commander, and he wants to usurp power from Megatron and be in charge. He's kind of devious. He's kind of backstabbing. Same thing with Soundwave. He's always digging up dirt on all his fellow Decepticons to use against them for power. They really did take big 180-degree turns on those guys and their characters as far as what was originally written and what would be considered the source material for Marvel. All they got to do is a full movie like the first few minutes of Bumblebee, but they won't. Yeah, I know. We were talking about that earlier. That's why the War for Cybertron, Fall for Cybertron games were mentioned. Like, because that's what it kind of felt like. The Earth is a tortilla. It's not like expensive. You can do a full movie with live action CGI without the humans. Yeah, granted, that's one of the things I'd like to see a little bit. I know they put the human element in there, so people have something they feel like they kind of gravitate towards in these movies. But dude, I want to see a movie about Transformers. Less humans, more Transformer time. That's what I want to see. I'd love to see stuff where, like they've got like a full blown on war for Cybertron. I'd like to see that. That would be an interesting movie. Prime come into contact with the Matrix for the first time, and from what I understand, they kind of do something like that in that one version, but I am not sold, number one, on the animation they did for that, and I'm not sold with the trailers I seen and the way the characters are represented, especially with the idea that Alita 1 already exists, and there is no Ariel like there was in the original Sunbow version. Like, nah. And I don't care. I know people said that Bumblebee wasn't really a goof, but he sure as hell appeared like a goof in the trailers I seen. Not that I was a huge Bumblebee fan, but he just seemed like an absolute idiot. So Owen Hart would be alive now? Yeah, right. If Owen was a Transformer, right? Yeah, they just bring him right back, scrape him off the mat, and they piece him back together. If Peter Jackson's King Kong close to the novel, I know it's beat for beat from the original black and white version. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. I think there's still, as always, there's liberties taken. Peter Jackson took a lot of liberties with Lord of the Rings. I know a lot of people say Lord of the Rings is like the greatest adaptation of all time, but that thing strays so far from the original book, it's not even funny. And I know I've read Lord of the Rings twice and then went back and looked at some of the movies. Their shit is so far strayed from those original books, it's not even funny. And then the same thing with that Hobbit movie. There's some things that are almost beat for beat right out of the Hobbit book, but there's so much more of it that's not even close to the book that it actually makes the original 70s animated closer to the book. that's kind of sad to think about, really. Godzilla X Kong had its issues, but it did much better on the balance of kaiju versus human. Yeah, I think so too. And I finally got to see -1. So that was available on Netflix, the English dub version. It wasn't bad, but there were some long tracks of that movie where it was just all this guy's like mental distress and everything. And I get it; it's kind of part of the storyline and everything. But it seemed to drag just a bit. Granted, going towards the end of the movie, it was like full blown out action for the last like 40 minutes or something like that, which was really good. But yeah, like the big long lulls in the middle, like, whew. I actually at one point had a hard time getting through that movie. His Lord of the Rings is more close to the animated movie. Yeah, I would say so. And like that animated one, I think the Return of the King animated, because that's a standalone, because they lumped the first two parts of the Lord of the Rings into one animated on that originally Bakshi version. But the last one they did more like the original stock, because the second one was like a Disney rotoscope that they used for it. And then the last one, they went back to the same shit that they used for The Hobbit. And I felt like that one started coming a little bit closer back to the Hobbit book. But I'd have to rewatch it. I do have them all on DVD. Maybe one day I'll do a discussion about that. I don't mind the humans, but it has to be done right. The Transformers Prime was pretty good for the hidden arc, but the full human Autobot versus Decepticon War is good when done right. And see, that's the problem. I think it just can't be overdone. There was parts in IDW's relaunch of Transformers where they really overplayed the human element into it, and I think it really took away from the story. It was just so over fucking blown that humans got dominion over Transformers, and they're like they got Prime locked up in a cage, and that like ugh. Screenplays butcher good books. Yes, a lot of times, no problem. Venom 3 felt lackluster, but I'm sure it would have been better as a trilogy rewatch. I don't know. I didn't even watch Venom 2. I didn't like the first Venom because that wasn't Eddie Brock. I don't know who that was, but it sure as hell wasn't Eddie Brock. And it just completely took me out of it. Like, he was such a whiny little bitch. I just couldn't stand it. I get what they're doing because good guy Venom had to go, but still, either way, the movie was boring. The books has pages of songs in Elvish. I'm happy they trimmed down the books. Well, you know what's funny, Papa? So, even in the movies and in the cartoons, they actually have elements of some of the songs. They're just being played in the background. So, like, there's a whole thing where the dwarves are singing when they're at in the Hobbit,
when they're at Bilbo's place. You kind of hear that as background music as they're talking. And it's the same thing with some of the Elven stuff when they go to, the Elrond and Rivendell. So you can kind of hear there's a song playing in the background. That's actually supposed to be the Elvish music. The extended cut Lord of the Rings, I seen it, and it was still so far derived from the book that it was like there were parts that really irritated me, especially all the shit with freaking Arwen and shit like that. Shit did not exist in the damn book. The only thing really existed with her in the book is that she marries him at the end. All the other shit didn't exist. Never happened. Same thing with the Hobbit. Like that whole shit with her in there saving freaking Bilbo. Never happened. Never happened at all. Painted Frodo and Sam without 60 pages about a swamp. I want to see a Lorena Bobbitt biopic for a director's cut. Oh, jeez. I did notice some scenes from certain movies are moved around to different movies. The Gollum scenes are moved to the third movie when it was in the first movie. Yeah. I kind of, I get it. I get it. There's going to be changes when they put these things in screenplay. I can understand small changes. But when they make massive changes to the original story, that's when it kind of takes me out of it. Small changes I get. Like, I get, like, in the original cartoon, they had to cut out the stuff with Tom Bombadil from The Hobbit. I get it. It was a bit extra and a bit much, and they had to cut it. But when they just completely start changing things, and, like, especially, like, in The Hobbit with the trolls, to make Bilbo look like he's the one that stalled for time against the trolls when it was actually Gandalf throwing his voice to make it seem like the trolls are talking back to one another. Like, it's just dumb shit like that to make him seem more heroic when he really wasn't at that part. I don't know. With the Harry Potter remake, I'm more excited for Half-Blood Prince remade. But other than that, the original cast of Harry Potter was perfect. Shame most passed on. But I see if the show is faithful. Yeah. I mean, and that's all most of us ever ask. Just, like, at least remain faithful to what the original source stuff is. At least as much as possible. I mean, that's why I hated this other movie, Queen of the Damned. So I did read some of those Anne Rice novels before. And the Queen of the Damned novel and the movie are just completely two separate beasts. They're not even close to one another. It's not as bad as the Dresden Files TV show. I don't think I've ever watched that. Love the Half-Blood Prince. I never got into Harry Potter. My dad was huge into Harry Potter. Huge. Like, he had all the books. He had freaking all the movies. All kinds of different, like, scarves, and he even had we picked him up and he loved it, that he had this remote control that was in the shape of a wand for his TV. I prefer the book over the movie with the Half-Blood Prince. Don't get me wrong. Some scenes are good, but it's nothing like the book. And I know at one time it would have been really hard to recreate some of the stuff that they had in books, but at this point there really is no excuse for it. I mean, once again, I go back to some of the movies that came as close to the original source material as possible, and I thought they were pretty good for what they were. And I always felt like in the MCU, when I was still watching that stuff, I always felt that Captain America, the first Avenger, came probably as close to the comic as they had ever done with any of their stuff. The real Harry Potter in the movie, troll. I love the Dresden Files TV series. Then I read the books. They're so amazing. Yeah. A lot of times the books are really good. There have been occasions where the cinematic version is better than the book, but just doesn't happen often. I love how Warner Brothers told all the SJWs tough luck with J.K. Rowling. Yeah, right. Well, you knew it was going to happen at some point. These companies can only lose so much money repeatedly before they start saying, hey, we need to do something to save the sinking ship. because none of them actually really want to go out of business. No matter how much they crow that they'll do whatever it takes, they don't want to go out of business because their whole sole purpose in life is to make money as a company. And if they're not doing that and they're losing, especially their investors, if they're losing money, yeah, they're going to right the ship regardless. Deadpool and Wolverine was pretty good, not going to lie. Michael Moriarty played Harry Potter Sr. in the movie Troll. I don't think I've seen Troll. Yeah, that's where I heard Fight Club. The author likes the movie more than the book. Yeah, you will have instances like that where sometimes the movie is better. I don't know. Kind of is what it is. I've read The Shining, and I personally like the Jack Nicholson movie better than I like the book. It just is what it is. Especially now that I freaking can't stand freaking Stephen King and his idiotic freaking rants, because this guy is he's a pinhead. I can't stand that fucking guy. Well, what a fucking asshole. He just gets on my last nerve. But guys, that is about all I was going to jim or jam on about today. Like I said, Thursday we're going to be doing the toy show. Going to be leaning into a lot of old school stuff. I'm going to be showing off something that Slasher had sent me. I got to have a nice unboxing. And we're going to, as always, have a couple of toy reviews. Whether or not Vinny's going to be able to show up, who knows? It is Thanksgiving, and I know a lot of people are going to be tied up probably with family and everything like that. But those of you who have a chance to stop by and check out the toy show on Thursday, we would greatly appreciate it. And for those that we don't see, like I said earlier, happy Pigsgiving, a happy Thanksgiving. I hope that you have a safe one and you have a happy holiday. And yeah, we will catch you next time. Yeah, that's rare. I heard Fight Club. The others like, yeah, I already read that. The movies are way better than the creepy books. Oh, Trolls from 1986. I think it's June Lockhart in it. I'll look that up and see if I can find it, manliness. Thanks. You're working on Thanksgiving? No problem. Like I said, for anybody that can stop by, we here at the Collective are always happy to see you guys in the chat. You can spend your time anywhere, but you chose to spend it here with us, and we really do appreciate it. Guys, we'll see you again, for those of you who can make it, back on Thursday with Collectible Past. Until then, have a good one. Have a safe holiday. Till next time.
Get the picture, you should spend. Assimilated, but you don't know yet. Attacking us is not very wise. Always growing every seed of your lives. What we are looking at, good and evil, right and wrong. It's a pig world order. A pig world order. A A pig world order. A pig world order. Somebody's gonna want to get their toes nibbled off in here. A pig world order. 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 Better hide your toes as we're coming for 'em. A pig world order. A pig world order. A pig world order.